Hello everyone, Josh first at it again here with some more Epic 7. Now today we got a rant, and the rant today is going to actually be about Guild Wars. Now, I will be doing some hunt farming here in the background because I need to get some better gear and some all that other good stuff that they give us, including I need more gold. Now, a big issue with Guild Wars is the fact that I feel like it's going to start making people treat a lot of new players very disrespectfully, whatever. Because I feel like a new player is going to say, hey, can I join your guild? And I think a lot of guild leaders now are going to say, do you have 200, 250k CP? And if you tell them no, or that you're a new player, they're just going to say, no, I'm sorry, you can't join our guild. Thus, all the newer players wanting to kind of get into a guild and try and, get their feet wet a little bit in the game and get off to a good start with a strong guild is no longer probably going to be a possibility, because a lot of guilds, because of Guild Wars, the way that it's ran, are not going to want anybody weak in their guild at all, because you need to fill 28 slots of guild, and most guilds, if you're even level 15 or whatever, you're not going to be able to do that. Now, you can go into a guild with 20 people, which is fine, but most guilds are going to be probably level 14 or 15. I'm sorry, 14 or 15, maybe even 16 at this point if they're guilds that started kind of, on day one. So you're going to have to really rely on all of your guild mates to make their teams, their defensive teams, their offensive teams for round 1 and round 2, and participate on the day of the Guild Wars when it's actually active and you actually have to go fight the other team's strongholds, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel the way that they've made Guild Wars is they're really going to be scrutinizing the way people can enter into a guild and how people can even stay in a guild, because I feel like a lot of people are going to start kicking off a lot of weak people in their guilds, trying to recruit only strong people. And I guess that makes sense if you're trying to be competitive, but it also kind of throws a lot of the player base for a loop, because where are those players that are still trying to get their feet wet in the game and still developing and building? Where are they going to go? Where does that leave them? And I feel like, I don't know. I feel like maybe if they would have made the stipulations a little bit less than 20, maybe say 5, you could take your strongest 5 or 10 into Guild Wars, it'd be a little bit better, because then a lot of newer players can still find a home in a lot of these higher up guilds, as long as they remain active and do what they're doing for the guild specifically, and, giving aids and donating every day and just being outright active, which is what you want from a guild member. So this could leave some of the most loyal guild members left without a guild, because they may be booted out if the guild leaders don't consider them really up to the standard requirement for taking on Guild Wars. And Guild Wars, since they pair you with guild level to guild level instead of, total, I'd say, guild CP like they do in Grand Chase, to other guilds total CP, it becomes very challenging. And I feel like that could be a big issue, because like our guild, like my guild, for example, we have a lot of players that are just kind of all over the place when it comes to actually how long they've played the game, but they're all active. They're all doing their day-to-day things, and I don't want to kick people out of the guild just because they're not up to par, strength-wise. Team CP, a bunch of 6 stars, fully awakened, all that good stuff, strong 70 to 85 gear. I'm not going to kick people out of the guild because they've been active. They've been very loyal. They've been doing what they were, supposed to do in the guild. And I just feel like this is going to cause a lot of issues because of the way they designed the Guild Wars. I feel like maybe having 20 people minimum is maybe a bit too much, and the fact that you have to fight with basically 2 teams and have 2 defensive teams is way too much. And the reason why, this leads us to another problem. Stamina is an issue in this game, and stamina has yet to be corrected. I feel like Smilegate keeps wanting to help do some things in one area, but then take away from another. They're not actually just giving us any progression. They're kind of just taking one thing away and giving us another, so we're not really moving forward like we'd want to. So, for example, with the new hunt problem we have, where the stamina went up higher, even doubled almost in some regards, it became an issue, because now if you want to get strong gear, you're going to have to spend more stamina. And since we're locked in at rank 16, we can't go no higher at this time, and there's really no substantial way outside of using Sky Stones or, of course, getting Leafs. You can't really get stamina really much else except for just waiting for the long cooldown. and that's a problem. Now, I noticed they did add 3 opportunities now using arena points per day to get stamina, but let's be honest. How many people are going to be able to sustain 120 arena points per day, 7 days a week to take full use of that stamina? They're not going to be able to, not for a majority of players. Some players may even struggle to do that, especially if they're trying to get the HP gear or if they're trying to still buy their Molagoras once a week, and any other maybe charms that they may need to build up their gear, because gold is also another issue, of course. Of course, gold could be resolved if stamina was no longer an issue, but that's another story for another day. We've already talked about that in a past video. So that's a lot of stamina commitment to a very RNG heavy hunt system, which still does not take away the 5 layers of RNG that's required, which is, of course, what grade is the gear going to be, what set is the gear going to be when it drops, what level is the gear, what's the main stat, and then finally what's the sub stats. So you currently have 5 layers of RNG on equipment, with still very low drop rates. Now, they claim that they increase the drop rates for certain equipment for like 100%, some of the rewards by 100%. But the issue is, when you kill a boss, it shouldn't drop just one thing. The boss should probably drop always gear, and then perhaps also drop, I would say, one of the other materials that are possible to drop. That would make sense, right? The equipment material can drop on wave 1. You get gold at the end of the stage no matter what if you win, and the boss will also drop 1 equipment guaranteed. Of course, all the other layers of RNG will still be in play, but it'll be a guaranteed equipment, and then the other item that it'll drop can be either sky stones, mystic metals, it could be bookmarks, it could be the powder, which I don't think should even be in hunt, to be honest, or whatever. So that's the way they could do it and keep the stamina as high as they want. That way it's actually worth the high stamina cost. I think that would be okay, but that's just a quick little example. But anyways, all of this leads back to the whole Guild Wars being an issue, because they expect us to build up strong gear on 6 to 10 characters. And that's on top of trying to 6-star all those characters. That's on top of trying to at least 4 or 5-star awaken, even 6-star awaken some of these characters. Build up the proper gear on these characters, which, like I said, has 5 levels of RNG. And on top of all that, you have the gold cost, which gold is very hard to come by, and it's very expensive to promote characters to 6-star. And to, of course, promote all your gear, level up and enhance, on top of your your artifacts as well. So that is a major issue when you're trying to make a Guild Wars system where you're expecting all of your player base, which is still quite young. Where, I mean, for a majority of players who played since day one, they've only been playing a few months, and for maybe the next wave that came, maybe the beginning of the year, they've only been playing for about a month or 2 months. So yeah, you definitely have some things to consider there, some things of worry for a lot of players when it comes to Guild Wars, because right now it's looking like not Guild Wars, but Whale Wars. Now, in PvP, whaling is to be expected, but they could make it a more balanced system if they went by team CPs, balanced with other guilds that have similar CP levels, instead of actual guild rank. Because a very active guild, even if they're weak, a very active guild will, of course, have a very high guild rank. And if you're getting put with other high-ranked guilds, that really is not a fair matchmaking system, in my opinion. Just because the free-to-play players are very active, they could get paired with a very whale guild that's also very active, but the players would be completely polar opposites of each other. You would have really weak players versus very strong players. Now, this isn't to say that free-to-plays can't be strong. It's just a quick little comparison of kind of a situation you find yourself in with the current way Guild Wars is set up. You could have a very strong 3 to 4 characters on your account being a free-to-play character, and that's good. You could beat Abyss 80, you could beat Raid, you could even maybe fight Hell Raid with those 4 or 5 units that you've built up over the past few months. That's awesome. But then you enter Guild Wars and you find out, oh my goodness, 4 or 5 characters aren't even enough to build the mandatory 2 teams that I need to compete And then you have an option of, oh my goodness, do I have to put one of my good units on both my teams, kind of stretching out my resources thin to where now neither of my teams can win? Or do I put all my resources into my first team and hope that I can at least end all my matches in a draw, which, by the way, doesn't really help you win the Guild Wars. You need to start knocking these people out, but you can't do it because you only have enough for one strong team, but not enough for your round 2 team, and then that becomes an issue. And the reason why a lot of people don't have the 2 strong teams is because of the issues that we addressed earlier in the video with the whole stamina cost, gold, equipment, having 5 layers of RNG. You know, you got to spend gold to unequip everything in this game, and that's also a major issue. So it's like, how do you diversify in the game? How do you have several characters that you build up when the game makes the progression system for characters so tedious and almost damn near unrealistic? So it becomes definitely an issue of, you know, whale wars instead of guild wars, and not in a good way. I don't have any problem running into whales at the higher tiers of PvP. That's fine. But when I'm in a guild with very dedicated and loyal players, and I know I have a strong team that I know can compete with the whales, but the reason why I can't compete is simply because I don't have enough of those teams, that just feels like a little bit of an issue to me. And I don't know how many of you agree with that, but I feel like they definitely need to do something with Guild Wars, because right now it's not going to probably be that much fun for a lot of people, especially a lot of guilds. It's like, do you just become a guild and do nothing just so you can be good at Guild Wars, so you can play against other guilds that are inactive, which means they're probably a bunch of players that don't play often, so their team comps are probably weak? I mean, do you do that on purpose? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like I'm being punished for our guild being very active because of the way the guild system is created. Now, this is in no part an issue with whales. I don't care how hard you whale in the game. That helps support the game and keep it free to play. That's perfectly fine. But it's just when you make a system like this where whales may not play other whales, that's the issue. I feel like if you're going to whale out and get very powerful in the game, you should play other powerful players. And granted, they might run into, some guilds may run into other whale guilds, but it's just that off chance that you're just a very active guild, you're going to run into a guild that's just so superior, you're going to get steamrolled every time. And I don't know, I just don't think that system is going to work for very long, and I don't think a lot of the player base is going to like that system for too long either, because it's just going to be another mode in the game that you just don't really want to even bother with, because you figure, what the hell is the point? I'm just going to go in and get my butt kicked anyway with no chance in hell of getting better. And you got to think too, you could say, oh well, you could go a few weeks and get your gear better and better, but the guilds you're playing against are also going to have that same few weeks to get themselves even better when they were already very superior in the first place. So I don't know, what do you guys think? I feel like maybe they should make a team CP versus team CP type of matchmaking. Like in Grand Chase, for example. I keep bringing up Grand Chase because I feel like they did their Guild Wars so awesomely. Where you can only select either 5 of your guildmates or 10 or even 15, and then you match up with another guild that's going by that same standard, and just make it like that, and that would be pretty good, because I feel like the player base is big enough to warrant for something like that. I don't think you'd have any issues finding other matches. And then you can also, it takes your guild's main team CP from every member and adds it together, and you got an overall guild CP, and that would be matched up with another guild of kind of a similar value. Now, no matchmaking system will be perfect. There will still be hiccups here and there, no matter what you do. But I just feel like that system would probably be incorporated into this game and work much better, especially if you have a lot of strong people in your guild and some weak people. It still allows for your guild to still be able to handle themselves pretty well and match up pretty well with other guilds because of that. Because I feel like it would all kind of balance itself out for the most part. Not exactly, but a lot better than we see right now currently in the game. But I want you guys to let me know what you think about Guild Wars. Do you think that they seriously need to fix and change that up because you feel like some players just may be completely left out of guilds because of the way the system is? Do you feel that guild wars aren't even worth it for you because of the current system? Like, you feel like there's just no way that you would have a chance of doing much outside of just getting constant draws and not actually winning? There's also another issue that if you lose any of your heroes, even a single hero, during your daily matches, and you're allowed to fight 3 times during the guild war, that hero is now not able to be used ever again. So thus creates the issue that not only do you need 6 different characters minimum for your offensive and defensive team for round 1 and 2, you also may need bench heroes that you can bring off the bench to help you in case you lose any of your heroes trying to take another player out, either on round 1 or 2. So there's a possibility that you could use anywhere from 6 heroes to maybe even 10 or 12. And honestly, the way the game is built, like I said, time and time again, the resources just are not there for us to build into that many heroes. Even if you've played since day 1 without, like, literally no life in the game or whatever means that you've accomplished it by, maybe with wailing out, of course, buying packs. Because Leafs don't just come out of thin air. They're hard to come by. Stamina goes away so quickly, especially if you're going to be trying to farm Hunt 8 and 9, which, by the way, would be the best areas to hunt for now with the 200% reward drops, even though I have yet to see any here in today's video. But yeah, I don't know. You guys let me know what you guys think. Do you think there's a serious problem with Guild Wars, especially with the new changes to Hunt, that may just make things a lot harder to build up other various characters so you can even compete in Guild Wars? I don't know. You let me know. I just feel like there's a major problem. I hope they resolve it. I know they just came out with it, so it may take some testing. But, I mean, honestly, they should have saw this coming. They already knew. They know the game. I'm assuming somebody from their staff has played this game. Excuse me. So I know that they know how the game operates, how hard it is to get a character to a 5 or 6 star and build them up. So if they didn't see this coming when they first were thinking about releasing Guild Wars, then that's just inaptitude on their end. That is just ignorance on their end. And I just feel like we need to address this. We need to nip this in the bud early, because I was actually pretty hyped for Guild Wars when we first heard about it. Like, we didn't know about it was going to be yet, but we heard about it and we were pretty excited. But in the back of my mind, I knew it was probably going to be something like this, and unfortunately it is. So hopefully they can fix that, make it better in the future, because honestly, the more game modes you have available that you can play every day, the better the game is. The more options you have is just the way to go. But unfortunately, Guild Wars right now is kind of, I'm giving it an F for failure, because I just don't feel that the current system is going to work. Now, whatever rewards you get for participation may maybe bring that up to a D, but it just, overall, it was kind of lackluster for me. And I don't know. You guys let me know in the comment section below what you think. I'll be glad to read your comments. Be sure to drop a like on the video if you did. Subscribe if you're new, as always. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.